Hey guys, long time no talk, but I don't really have a good excuse. Just gonna move on with this video. Today is Wednesday, and who else is excited that American Horror Story Coven is back? I'm so excited. I am probably going to be doing a new segment. I call it a segment, but it's not like a monthly segment. It's like a month, well, it would be a monthly segment actually. It'd be like once a month probably, because we all know I can't keep up with once a week things. But I want to start doing some like newsy updates, which would be pretty cool, kind of like movies I'm looking forward to, anything new in the world of horror, things like that, new underrated movies, indie movies, things that aren't in theaters, kind of stuff like that. Maybe famous horror actors, what they're up to, horror directors, things like that. I just said things like that twice. Things like that is what I want to do. Because, you know, the world of horror does not just exist in movie reviews, and I feel like I need to add something to my channel even more so, and there's a train going by. We're just gonna keep on rolling, kind of like the train. Anyway, I just wanted to add something to my channel, just something interesting, where I can talk about stuff that I'm excited for, and we can all kind of share any kind of news stuff that we might know of in the horror world. I'm gonna wait for the train to finish going by. I'll wait. It's a long train. So to make up for being gone for so long, I thought I would do a book review. It has been years since I've done a book review, and the reason is not that I don't want to do the reviews. I don't read that much. I've been getting back into reading. One of my resolutions this year is to read 12 novels in the year of 2014, which really shouldn't be that hard. It gives me like 30 days per book, and honestly I finished this book we're talking about today in about 4 days or so, so I was obsessed. Anyway, as long as I pick good books, I feel like I can do the 12 books this year, maybe even more. So we're gonna be talking about, I don't have the book to show you because it's on my Kindle, talking about The Long Walk by Stephen King, written as Richard Bachman. I've never actually read any of Stephen King's work writing as someone else. You know, he does those kind of novels, and I had no idea how good they actually are. They are amazing. It's still Stephen King, it's still his voice. I actually forgot the whole time that I was reading that he was writing as Richard Bachman. Stephen King actually admitted that this was the first novel he wrote. He started it, what was it, 8 years? Yeah, he started it 8 years before he wrote Carrie, which was his technically first published novel in 1974. So this book actually came out in 1979. Again, had no idea. I thought this was kind of like a modern novel. I didn't do my research before I read it. Luckily, I did my research during and after. Anyway, this is a dystopian novel, and dystopian novels are probably some of my favorite, especially if they're mixed with horror. Stephen King is my favorite author, although I haven't branched out and read lots of authors, because when I find someone I love, I tend to stick to it. So I love him, Dean Koontz, and some other ones. So I don't really branch out in authors. I branch out in books, but not in authors. That being said, my next book is probably going to be The Running Man by Stephen King, because I can't get enough of Stephen King. So anyway, this book is a dystopian novel set in the dystopian present, and it is basically a walking contest, which you might have guessed by The Long Walk, but that could be interpreted so many ways, like a journey kind of thing, but it is a journey. And this was so intense. Like, I feel like this would make such a horrific movie. And the director Frank Darabont has already gotten the rights to make a movie out of it. He was the one who directed The Green Mile, The Mist, and Shawshank Redemption, so he's very familiar with Stephen King's work. He said he wanted to make it a low-budget, weird, existential, and very self-contained movie, whatever that may mean to him. So I'm guessing he'll make it like a B-movie, but he said in his interview that he would get to it one day. So we may never see this as a movie, which I would be devastated. That's really sad, although the way he described it doesn't sound like it'll live up to the novel. So basically this book follows a main character named Ray Garrity, and he enters this contest, The Long Walk, which is an annual thing. It doesn't really go into that much depth about why people enter. The prize in the beginning, the prize is very vague. We don't really know what it is when we first start reading it, and we have no idea what the cause of this whole thing is, really, besides the prize. Like, why would you go into it just for the prize? I don't know. So Then you kind of find out in the beginning, it's kind of vague. They talk about getting a ticket, which is what happens when you slow down. So basically there are 100 boys who have to walk at a pace of 4 miles an hour or higher. And when you drop below that, you get a verbal warning. And if you get 3 verbal warnings, you get a ticket. And so you can burn off those warnings. So if you walk for a certain amount of time, 1 warning will go away, and if you keep walking, another one. So depending how many warnings you have, you can walk them off, but if you get to your 3rd warning and you stop or you slow down again, you get your ticket. So I just want to say generally this was so well written, and you really get inside the mind. It's not written in 1st person, it's written in 3rd person, but you kind of get the inside the mind of Ray Garrity and what he's experiencing, because it is following him and his journey, and you know, just the intensity of this competition. You can just imagine what walking for so long would do. So the goal is whoever walks the longest. And you're probably wondering, well, what if you stop walking? Let me tell you. This would be considered a spoiler if you're just beginning the book, but honestly it's kind of what the whole book is about, so I don't find it too much of a spoiler. If I knew it going into it, that would have made me want to read it more. So basically, getting a ticket is when you get shot in the head by these soldiers riding on half tracks next to the road. So you basically walk or you die. And if you just so happen to find that you cannot walk anymore, you're gonna die. So some people, I just can't explain how disturbing this whole concept is to me. Some people, you know, they get leg cramps and they can't walk anymore, but because they have to stop, and then they die because they just have a stupid little leg cramp and they just lose their life. You'd think, well, just keep walking because that's better than, you know, dying, but they can't, like they physically can't. Some people have stomach cramps, like diarrhea. That kind of goes into that whole graphic thing because they walk for days, so you gotta poop at some point, and there are people just pooping. They're taking their like 2 warnings, they're squatting, pooping, and then they continue, which I think is hilarious. They're all men, so they can pee standing up, so what they do is they turn around and they pee standing backwards, and they're just like walking back while they're peeing, which I think is pretty funny. So some of it is really entertaining to me. I mean, the whole thing was really entertaining, but some of it was just so intense and disturbing. Some people go absolutely crazy. They're crazy. They start talking about these things, and when you're reading it, it makes you feel crazy because you have no idea what they're talking about, and it's so awesome. I love that. It is set in Maine, as we probably know. It's Stephen King. I think that's a given. It's set in Maine, but it kind of goes through different cities because the walk goes on for a really long time, a couple days. But it doesn't sound like that long, but when you're walking at 4 miles an hour a couple days without stopping, like no stopping, is crazy. So overall, I felt like the ending of the book was not what I expected. It was so rushed, and it literally ended just like so abruptly. And when I got to the last page, I didn't know it was the last page because it's on my Kindle, and it like went all the way down to the page, so I clicked next, and it was done. There was nothing left. And I just, like, my mouth dropped open. I was like, that's it? Like, what? I need to know what happened. So it's an intense ending. It really, really is. I mean, the whole novel is just really gruesome and emotional, but it is so good. If it was a movie, it'd be pretty gory and nasty because there are obviously people getting their brains shot out. One guy gets shot in the gut so many times, his guts start coming out, but he's crazy, so he's not dead yet. He's just trying to walk with his intestines falling out. It is, I can't. So yeah, the book kind of got to me, and it's really different for me to like feel that from a book, because most of the time I feel like I need a visual to really feel that disturbingness, but this book really went there. And I think Stephen King is a master at what he does, and he's so good at really showing a disturbing side of the story. So in that sense, it was amazing. Now I will go into a little bit of what happens at the end. I don't think I'm gonna say anything that really gives it away, but yeah, so let's move on to some spoilers, which I don't recommend, by the way. Well, maybe if you're planning on reading the book. So, because the story follows Ray Garrity, I had a feeling he would at least make it to the end, because why else would we be focusing on a character if he's gonna die in the early on? So I knew he would make it far. How far? I didn't know. I thought maybe he would make it to final 3, final 2. It's really sad to me to see him go through all that with his friends, because he does make friends with some of the guys, and some of them go crazy, and some of them just stop and because they can't go on anymore and they die, and it's really sad to see his emotions through that. In the beginning, he becomes obsessed with this guy named Stebbins, and he doesn't know why, he just kind of catches his eye, and with that I kind of assumed, well, that's the other guy he's going to be in the finals with, because why else would he be obsessed with him? And he's always been obsessed with him throughout the whole book. He would kind of talk to him, but he was very strange the way he talked. He said he was like the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland or something like that, that he was just very like sly and sneaky with his words and very interesting. So I had a feeling that it would kind of be them fighting it out in the final 2. And I was right. Ray does make it to the final 2, and you know, you find out in the end if he dies or Stebbins dies, and it was just like one of them dies and that's it. Like, kind of, that's it. I thought it would go into more, and I don't know. And you find out, though, that the prize, you get to pick the prize. You get whatever you want for the rest of your life. If you want $1 million every year, you can ask for that, and they'll give it to you. Because it's like government run, so they have all the money, all the, you know, outlets, all the whatever options available to them, I guess, because it's a full country. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of boring though. Like, I wish the prize was a little bit more interesting. Like, maybe you got certain amount of money or like a certain thing, but just asking for what you want. I feel like this kind of a cop-out on Stephen King's part, just kind of like, well, I don't want to think of something, so they just get to ask for what they want, which I think is fair in that kind of game, because obviously if you're gonna walk to the death, you deserve something fantastic, like you deserve what you want, but I just felt like it was a little uncreative to me. That's basically all I have to say about the novel. I really highly recommend it. Don't be alarmed by the ending, because I was just like, what? But, I mean, I'm just warning you, it's an abrupt ending. You kind of just find out what happens and that's it. I think it would be a cool movie, and I'm excited to see if he ever gets to it, what the director would do with it, because it would be an awesome, awesome movie. Let me know if you've read this book, what you think about it, and I highly recommend reading it if you haven't. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.